All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. Thank you for supporting our bookshop, Libre. Thank you for supporting Jen. Jen, welcome. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Yorktown, you're the best.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jen. Welcome back to Yorktown. Did you miss it?
Every day. Just kidding. I mean, so much to love, but lots of great places in the world.
All right. As we know, everybody like you've been through a lot. I hope from now and on, healthy and happy life. So let's hope for the best.
Thank you.
Can you take us back to the moment your life shifted when you first received the diagnosis?
Yeah, I think I'll also start by saying, for those of you who haven't encountered the book yet or are not sure about the order of things, what Bharat is talking about was 10 years ago yesterday, actually. I had a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old sons, and I wasn't feeling great. But that happens when you have little kids. And I was having headaches, and so my neurologist said, let's just do an MRI to make sure there's nothing going on. And so 10 years ago yesterday, I got a phone call that said, your MRI was not normal, and there's a very large brain tumor behind your left eye, and we got to get it out, like, fast. So at that moment, I'm parenting 2 young kids. They had just been dropped at daycare, and I was like, what? It was just a very surreal movie moment that you kind of, it's almost like sorry, if I have,
No, it's good.
are these, okay. It is like a movie moment, and you really are just taking notes. It's not about you yet. You're just writing things on the paper to tell your mom, basically.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's before everything changed. How would you describe your life, your mindset, and what you believed in?
Well, like I said, I had 2 young kids at that time. I was also 2 years into running my own coaching business called Plucky, which is I do leadership coaching in tech. So I've got kids under 3. I've got a business that's less than 2 years old, and I'm less than 2 years into living in California. So there's like all this raw new identity going on for me at this point. And in terms of what I believed in, I think really what I believed in was like, let's get up and change some diapers. There was not a lot of plans. It was, kind of all exciting. We had moved out to California for jobs, and we didn't really see exactly what was coming, but we weren't afraid of what was coming either. Obviously, that was, I don't even want to say naive. I think that's how you should live your life, but we didn't see what was coming.
What made you decide this story needs to be told in a book?
Yeah. So to continue the story, I get diagnosed with this brain tumor, and they say, okay, we've got to get it out because it's causing a lot of like these tiny little seizures, and it was putting a lot of pressure on my brain. So that sort of became the plan. And what I didn't intend or plan or anticipate, I guess, was some very big spiritual moments that were going to happen to me. I'm sure we'll talk more about it, but I had some visions in an MRI tube a couple nights before brain surgery. I had another like really deep and beautiful dream. And then there was one where it sort of like time opened and I knew everything for a second. It's cooler in the book when you read it. But these moments I was not expecting. And I think that one of the things I understood was you're going to be okay. You're going to make something beautiful out of this. And it's a book called I Believe in Everything. And I was like, oh, that's a sick title. Okay, that sounds good. I just sort of understood that to be a type of homework, I guess, after the experience. I had to recover and learn to read and write and all the other things after. But I felt that I was going to do that from very early on.
All right.
We were lucky to receive a copy of your book a couple of weeks ago, and I consider myself very lucky to be able to do this for a living. As a part of it, read the books. So there are so many deep layers in your book, like motherhood, illness, spirituality. How did you balance writing about those?
Well, the premise of the book is because of the illness stuff, right? Like that is the inciting incident at the very.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry.
Good.
Great. The fact is the book doesn't exist, at least not at all in the same compelling way, if there isn't this diagnosis that kicks off these very exciting scenes. And some of the ladies over here are so kind to say that they couldn't put it down, right? So like the first of the 3 parts, the first 2 are very, I almost want to say like beat by beat. So you start, part 1 is symptoms and diagnosis through being wheeled into the OR. Part 2 is waking up in ICU through about 2 months post-op recovery. And then part 3 is the next 5 years. So illness had to be the backbone of the story, but I think part 3 especially needed to become, well, what changed for me, right? How was I going to be a parent? What was my spirituality going to be after this experience? And I said this a couple book event ago, but while writing this book, I needed some mojo, so I took a fiction class. And one of the things you learn in a fiction class, maybe others too, is that in a story, the character needs to change, right? So the character has to be different on the last page or in the last scene of the movie than they were in the beginning. If not, it's really boring. And so I had to almost like think about that when writing the book of, okay, well, what scenes should I include to show you how I changed? It's very meta and strange to think of yourself like this, but I needed to pick, especially for that 3rd part, which of the scenes are going to suggest, oh, this was important to her as a mom, or this became interesting to her spiritually. So I really do think the layers, as you put it, I think it's what makes it a strong work, honestly.
Thank you.
The title is so powerful, like I believe in everything. What does that mean to you, like everything?
Every single thing, Brad. I think like, yeah, I read these questions in the train and I'm like having this like existential.
Oh, did you saw the commercial on the train?
No, I'm just literally in Amtrak today coming up here. And I was like, yes, let me reflect on this in the Amtrak. Anyway, so when I saw this question, I was thinking about it. And I do think that everything to me just is potential. Like every moment, every person you encounter, every, thing you experience, it all has potential to be something kind, gracious. You can, I don't even want to say see the good in things. That feels a little cheeseball at this point, but there is the potential for something positive to come out of it. And sometimes the darkest times are when you really can't find those specks of possibility. So in my most bold moments of my life, I guess, I have felt, oh my gosh, any of this could work. And when I say I believe in everything, I think it's a lot about that spirit of how do you find opportunities or possibilities, even when it doesn't seem like there's much there.
Oh.
So you're living your best life, your everyday life. We all try to do our best. And all of a sudden you find out something life altering as a brain tumor. There's a lot to process, but what was your biggest fear in all this?
That it was cancer. I mean, to be very succinct about it, the biggest fear was that it was brain cancer. And for those of you who have known people with that, it's a really serious, kind of really big deal. And that's the thing that I really didn't think much about because I was afraid of it, I think. And also, as I mentioned, the changing diapers, and there was a lot going on in the day-to-day moments before the surgery. But, and again, for those of you who haven't read it, I'm very grateful to say it was not cancer, it was benign. So yeah.
Was there a moment in the book that was especially difficult to put it on the words? You've been through a lot.
Yeah. It's always hard to write about the kids. And I have a couple Spotify playlists. One of them is just called Really, Really Sad Songs. There's only 3 songs on it. I could tell you them later if you really need to cry. But
did they help you?
Yes. Big time help me, because you have to think, right? This is 10 years ago and the book just came out in January. So over the last 10 years, I need to be parenting, being a wife, being a coach and building a business, and also writing a book. So my time to write the book is like, okay, I've got 2 hours on a Tuesday afternoon. Well, I can't just sit down and emotionally connect to near death, right? So I needed, and what I realized, I needed some music sometimes to sort of transition me into it. So good old Ben Folds, there's like a couple really sad songs that if I would put on, it would almost like emotionally or energetically get me to a state that was feeling kind of sad. And then I felt like I could write some of those harder scenes. There's also one of the playlists just has 2 songs on it. It's from a soundtrack of a movie. I don't even think I've seen the movie, but it's called Gravity, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about space. Or someone is in space. That's all I know from the picture of the cover. And these 2 songs are almost nothing. It's just like silence and little beeps and like little tiny pieces of music. And I wrote the whole scene about when I was in ICU with that in the backdrop. I just kept it on repeat because ICU felt so padded away from everything, and I felt really connected to bigger things, and I felt very loved. And I don't know, that space music really brought it out.
Wow.
Wow. I must say, though, you did a great job on putting that because it's so raw that I did cry while reading
Sure.
the book a couple of times. But what do you define as strength after all this experience?
Strength, yeah. I think strength has to happen in tiny moments because you can't be strong all the time, and you will cry, and that's fine and good. It means you're a person. But it's more the accumulation of all those moments, I think, to keep you going. So all the people in the book and in my life were strong in different ways and in different opportunities. But the choosing, okay, I haven't been strong all day. Now I'm going to do something brave. I'm going to, go out and try to play with my kid for a few minutes, even though it'll exhaust me or whatever the experience is. But just never to give too much space between strong moments, I guess, and keep them going. And I think we can all do that. You don't need a brain tumor to be strong, right? You can have a really rough day. I mean, the world is not so hot right now. And so like to choose some moments every day, these will be my strong moments. I can take a break in the other ones. I think that's the sustainable way to keep things going.
I think unconsciously we all do that. We
Yeah.
kind of have to choose,
Yeah,
like it or not, our battles every day
Yes.
somehow.
totally.
As human beings, sometimes we don't know how strong we are or what we can handle. What surprised you most about yourself during that time? Did you say something? I can do that, or
Yeah. Well, I mean, for those of you who know me, I'm a doer. Like I do things. I make meal trains for other people. Like, is it your birthday? I'll go buy you a cake. Like I'm very involved in helping other people's lives. So it was very strange to be the one who needed to receive the doing. And that was like uncomfortable until at some point you're like, who cares? Because you might die, so like get over it and let help come. Yeah. I think what surprised me was at a certain point, I did surrender to that. And just, I think it was my mom got out there and it was like, we were getting closer to the day of surgery. And it just was like, okay, I've kind of done all I can do. And I now am on this medication, and one makes me tired and one makes me the opposite of tired. And so I was like cracked out all the time. And I just realized everybody can be okay without me. And I retreated back into the room. And I think in that silence, honestly, that is when I was able to touch base with some of these deeper parts of myself and what I call the bigness in the book, but some people might call God or some people might call other things. I don't think that I'm hearing that if I keep packing lunches. Like I needed to put myself away and to be quiet to hear it.
You mentioned that right now that you needed space to connect with your deeper self, but how did motherhood like shaped the way you handle the diagnosis and the recovery as a whole?
I mean, this would have been like 200% less traumatic if I didn't have kids. Having kids, like I thought about that a lot. Like, what if this had happened before I had kids? And then maybe I wouldn't have been able to have kids. Or what if it happened when they were grown? That would have been a different story. But the fact that they were just sort of like barely existing, 3 and 9 months old, was like, it just made everything so tragic, or the potential for tragedy was just like smeared all over everything. So I think including like the response of people, they were, oh my God, a young mom, like even young mom, right? Like that is the headline. That's when people are like, oh my God, take my meal train, or whatever, even if they don't know you. And for me, like I said earlier, the fact that all these identity moments were so closely tied together, including now sort of embracing a new spirituality, like it was a banger of a year, man. A lot happened in 2016.
Yeah. You said you were like going to the room and stay quiet. Did you ever resist to those spiritual experiences, or did you surround it right away when you like get connection, like let's say?
Yeah, I think honestly back then I did just surrender to it. I don't know whether that is something that I can put all on myself, whether I should be proud of myself for surrendering, or that indeed in the face of something that felt bigger to me, I was invited / obliged to surrender. It's, you sit there and you can hear in the book, if you haven't read it yet, you can hear me trying to logic it out. I'm like, what meds was I on? And what were the symptoms? And, what would the side effects have been? Like, I'm trying to sort of mathematically calculate, why would I have had such a spiritual moment? Like, what was that? But the truth of it is, I can't really prove it out except for the impact that it had on me. So the fact that I was different after those moments, I mean, I have dreams all the time. Every morning I remember my dreams. This was different. And the fact that those had such a marked effect on me, I think, whether I surrendered or it was sort of, forced on me. Yeah, I accepted it. Exactly. Yeah.
So for the ones that didn't read the book yet, you talk a lot about the weird stuff. And how do you think we should embrace that?
Being weird? Well, to me,
in a good way.
Oh, best way. Yeah, totally. So I was an RA in college when I was a sophomore. So I had 32 women on my floor. And when I was a freshman, it wasn't the easiest year. I took a minute for me to find friends. And then I did. And so when I was an RA, I had all these women who also were 18. They just arrived at school. They didn't have friends. And I remember saying to them, listen, you need to look for the underground cool people. Like, they are not going to be the most popular people in this room. They are not going to be the ones like running to the sororities and the fraternities tonight. You got to look for the nerds or the underground cool people, like whatever that means to you. And this is the same advice I give my kids today. Like, they go to middle school. One of my kids went to middle school. I said, you need to look for the underground cool people. Like, do not look for the loudest, most obnoxious, although they seem popular. And to me, the be weird or, embrace the weird or whatever is like, be your authentic self. I think the most harmful thing that can happen is if somebody tells you that your authentic self is not right. That is rude and offensive, and you need to step off, right? Like, everybody knows themselves. And so being weird to me is just accept who you are and present yourself as such. And everybody else, can calm down.
Let's go back from the weird onto something like, if someone who is skeptical, what would you say about opening themselves to something beyond the logic, as you mentioned? Like, there are a lot of people like myself.
Yeah.
They don't believe in everything. It's hard to convince them. What are you going to say to them?
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't want to make a new religion. Like, let me just be clear about that. I have a lot of problems with the religion right now. But I mean, look at history, right? There's a lot of stuff that people never believed in, like germs. Turns out that was a thing. And so I just think like we cannot have a hubris to assume that we know and understand every single thing. So yeah, is there some stuff that maybe is a little woo-woo, not really, everybody's half-baked on that? Like maybe, yeah, for sure. But there's also a lot of things we just haven't explored yet or we just don't know about yet. And so to throw everything out and say, well, I would already have figured it out if that was true. I mean, the hubris there is a little much, right? So be humble. And if you hang out with anybody who says they know everything, then they sound very boring and you should get a new friend and, move on from that person.
After everything you went through, how would you describe Jen today?
Mm.
You mean Gen Z?
No, Jen.
Gen D. Yeah.
Jen.
I think that it depends on the day. Most of the time, I feel very connected with who I am, confident in that. I know what I'm good at. I'm 45 years old. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. So, oh no, my teachers are crying. I know who I am. I know who I'm not, and so I won't try to pretend other things. But I kind of said this earlier, the world is really tough right now. And I have 2 young sons and I'm raising them. And that can be challenging for me to feel like be your authentic self is enough. There are other just like anxieties I have about being a parent.
Even like if somebody wants to change, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Totally right.
Yeah. I mean, we were having a conversation a little bit earlier, just the high level is that sometimes when you want to change, that threatens the people around you.
Exactly.
Like people, if you decide, hey, actually there's a different part of myself I want to explore or a different hobby I want to have or whatever, the people that used to knit with you are going to be pissed that now you're fly fishing, And so people are going to sometimes try to hold you back and say, well, that's not who you always have been. And that is a very real energy. And I just think like holding yourself back from change because it's inconvenient for other people is not the way to go.
Exactly.
Yes, that is a quite big statement. And nothing to add.
No notes. Great.
This experience, like reflecting back, I'm sure it added a lot of layers to you and also stripped away some parts of you, willingly or not. How, like looking back, how would you define that? Are you aware of those stuff? And are you, let's say, in peace with that?
Yeah. Like, I don't know what experiences y'all have had, but this was such a unique opportunity for me to almost like pull off the side of the highway for a beat, like all of this is very intense. I get to be in ICU. I get to be in my room. I get to not have responsibilities for a while. And it allowed me to ask the question, like, do I want everything I had before? Like, and that includes everything. That includes the roles that I played in my family or the hobbies that I had or the goals that I had or the limitations that I had put on myself. Like all of those things were up for a renegotiation. And so when I think about the things that I sort of let go of, it was a very intentional choosing of what I wanted to add back in. And some of those things have been gifts, for me. Like a simple example would be I was 2 years into running my own business in the tech industry. I have a master's in French literature, but that is like not what a tech person would say normally. So I was in my head quite a bit back then, 2 years into my job. And I got to say, well, is that something I'm going to care about? Or should I just go and make a cool business? And so I think I got to opt out of that in a way that had life just continued on going, it would have been really hard to drop that anxiety or that imposter syndrome from one day to the next. That's what these big opportunities give you. As traumatizing and as terrible as they are, everybody around you sort of allows you to become someone new afterwards just because of the disruption that has happened.
A good life. How do you define now good life? You mentioned before, like how you think now.
Bharat, I saw this question in the train and I got excited to show you it.
You saw this question of
I
train.
know, don't worry. Okay, so for those of you who've read, here's your spoiler in the book. For those of you who read the book, towards the end of the book, I talk about how I'd really love to get a tattoo, but I can't decide and I keep changing my mind, and that feels like a bad thing for a tattoo. So just sit tight, right? So I didn't get a tattoo. And then 3 years ago, so, okay, let me also back up. So, as part of where I'm at right now, they got the brain tumor, they got it out, but I need to keep getting checked every year. And they take an MRI and they make sure there's nothing coming back. So, 2 years ago, there was a little something, but it wasn't exactly where the tumor had been. It's a slightly different part of my head. And people were not sure how concerned to be. Like, didn't seem like a big deal, might have been there forever, could be a little bunch of blood vessels, they weren't sure. So obviously this was horrifying. And we go to some specialists and we go to like a fancy eye doctor guy. This is like little South Asian man, and he's so kind and wise. And he comes over and he says, you know, I don't think this is anything to worry about. Like, we're going to look at it again in 6 months. And he says, I just want you to go have a good life. And I was like, that's the tattoo. So my tattoo says, go have a good life. So when I read this question, I was like, oh, here you go. Photographic evidence, my friend.
The good life. Like, there is a story behind it. So,
Oh, good. Yeah.
So we're talking about good life, but to go and have a good life, we have to experience the healing part.
Mm,
It's much more than physical.
yeah.
How would you describe that healing part?
I think there's two sides of it. So first, logistically, just because, you know, we are talking about the details of the story. So in terms of healing from brain surgery, that is done. My hair came back like a lot, you know, I look normal in some ways, still weird, but I have to get checked every year, like I said, for an MRI. I have seizures, so I have to take anti-seizure medication. I can only have 2 drinks of alcohol, and then I have to cut myself off. I can't take a bath or go in a hot tub if nobody else is home. It's just stuff like that, right? And so in terms of healing, like, the brain tumor wasn't cancer, obviously that's the best, but it doesn't mean that there's no repercussions and there's no sort of longer term things to handle. Mentally, I do think that writing this book and finishing this book and having it in the world is like a real catharsis, because it meant that all of those moments served a greater narrative, you know, like, it meant like, oh, that was a hard day, but I see how it constructed me to be who I am today. And I'm certainly not perfect today, but I do feel pretty healed having made it in. I mean, again, that was the homework assignment, right? Make this into something beautiful and connect people. And I have felt really lucky on this book tour, especially, like, this is such a surreal room to be in with like my best friend from growing up, her parents, and like my freaking teachers. And it's just like really bizarre. So if you had said 10 years ago, the day after you're diagnosed with a brain tumor, hey, by the way, hang in there. In 10 years, you're going to be back in Yorktown freaking Heights with your parents, who, by the way, I accidentally got child locked in the backseat of their car on the way over here. So I'm 45 years old and in the back seat. Cool. But, you know, if you had told me 10 years ago that's what's going to happen, I think I still would have said, yeah, let's do it.
that's why you should believe in everything.
Yes.
What beliefs did you have to let it go off?
This one is really simple and a little dark, but I think the belief I had to let go of was that I was going to be healthy and safe until I was old. Like the feeling that, okay, I'm young, I'm fine.
I can beat
Maybe I'll
everything.
get arthritis one day, you know. That is not that now isn't my story, and maybe I will get arthritis one day, but I also had a lot of other shit that happened first. So that was just a belief that I didn't even know I was believing. You know, it just sort of was the momentum of life.
What role does gratitude and, on the flip side, anger play in your life right now?
I think gratitude to me is like tiny moments, like I don't know, the kids found their shin guards for soccer, or like they both have a friend, in their class or something. My husband did some public speaking today. He didn't pass out. All good, like things like this. So tiny moments, but I don't overthink it either. I mean, if you read the book, like you can hear, like I'm not precious about some of this crap. Like I really am grateful, but I also know that like there's tough stuff too. In terms of anger, I am angry at a certain part of the book, especially when I encounter someone whose story is not going to be like mine and who is going to have a tragedy with his own brain tumor. That makes me angry, but I can't do anything about it. So what I really don't like is when I'm angry with no action possible. So I think that's why I'm a doer. Like I see a bad thing, I'm like, oh, that's bad. That makes me mad. Okay, let's do something.
Do something.
Yeah, exactly. That is kind of my MO, for better or worse, I guess.
You mentioned your husband.
Mm.
Has your relationship changed through time in this time?
Yeah, I know. I'm sad he's not here. He would love to meet you.
You can
all.
talk.
Yeah, great. He'll see the podcast. Yes, it has. I talk about this in the book a little bit. I was not atheist or even agnostic. I was curious. I think I would say that when all this went down. And my husband is agnostic. And so when all this was happening, I was like, oh God, now we got to like have our first date again, where I'm like, listen, I'm pretty sure God's a thing. Like, it just is like so awkward, X years into a marriage. I think, he's an amazing person, and he has watched that become an arc for me and who I am. Like, I found a church in Virginia where we live, and he and the children come once a month, and the other Sundays they play D&D, and like we're just a blended family like that, like what am I going to say? But our relationship also is very, I think marriages actually could go a couple different ways. One would be that this really rips things apart, and I would understand if that happens, but for us, it really, really cemented us together, so that when I come to him with a crazy idea, like, hey man, I think we got to move from California to Virginia, he's like, all right, let's go. We really have each other's back. Yeah, with risks, because I think we trust each other. Neither of us are irresponsible or silly with these things. And so if one of us has a real drive for something, the other person can see it and recognize it and double check, but then
this is
jump to
key
it.
for the good relationship.
I think so too, yeah.
Exactly.
So on a regular day, you kind of taken out without permission request from your life to go through all the things you have gone, and you're standing here today. What does courage mean to you?
The simplest way to say it, I think, would be to accept what's going on. Like the energy spend that you must go through to deny what is happening to you, whether that's health or the energy of the people around you or your circumstance or your job that you don't like or whatever. Courage to me is to accept what it is and then reroute from there. Like, well, this is an immovable wall. Okay, maybe we'll go that way now, rather than get stuck in front of the wall and be mad for the rest of your life.
If someone feels lost or disconnected, where they should begin, like what they should do? You've been there, so
yeah. This is actually funny because so my answer to that is that there was a time with brain tumor stuff when I consciously decided, what if I picked this? Like, what if pre-life, if that's a thing, what if I was like, now what extracurricular activities will I be signing up for in life? And what if for some dumb reason I was like, you know what? Give me the benign brain tumor. Let's do it. Which, for those of you who know me, isn't that far off that, I might get myself into these things. And that allowed me a huge amount of control through that whole process, which was, well, if I picked it, why? And who did I think I was going to become? And what opportunities would that allow me in all the ways? And I think I now forget what you just asked me, but it feels related. What did you say again?
If you feel lost,
If you feel lost,
yeah, or disconnected, yeah,
you're not lost.
get back.
You picked it. Yeah, exactly. And I just said this to Chris the other day. Listen, I was like, again, insert sort of horrifying 2026 world right now. I was like, what if I picked to be born in this century? And then I was like, what would I do then? I think it's a great reframe sometimes, like what if you picked these fools year round or this, again, job you have or circumstance, even if it wasn't something that you had control over in this life, it allows you to choose a different way to be about it. And at least for me, that was a way to get unlost. I then had the compass myself.
Short answer is like stay connected.
Stay connected. Exactly. Sorry, that was like 20 minutes of
Talking about connection. What is one small shift that people can make to feel more connected to themselves or something bigger, whatever they call God?
Yeah.
How do you call it?
Bigness.
The bigness.
Yeah.
So what do you think they should shift?
I think they should not go on Facebook. They should stay off of social media where everyone is freaking out all the time. I think you got to listen to yourself, right? And be quiet. And again, like I said, I was like sequestered in the back room. It was like me and the birds outside for a while. And that was obviously tough, but what a gift it was to step away. I'm now a person who, like, if someone knows someone with a brain tumor, then I'm involved now. Like, people say, my Aunt Patty has brain tumor. Could you talk to her? I'm like, yeah, of course. And anyway, so then I follow Aunt Patty and text her before her surgery. And, I'm the doer, as discussed. And I always am like, now you listen here, Patty. After brain surgery, you need to not touch your phone for like weeks. Like, don't get back in. Don't get on email. Don't get any of that stuff. Like, give yourself some space, because for you to connect with who you are and maybe bigger things, you need to not have to-do lists on your mind. You need to not have people's chatter all over the place. I can't imagine having had that experience if I had needed to go back to work the next week or something.
All right. If you have a single message for the world, what they would be? Just shoot it.
Here we go. No, I'm actually going to totally co-opt Eleanor Roosevelt. There's a postcard I hung in my hospital room. And so she said, do the thing you think you cannot do. And somebody had bought that for me like a couple months before I got diagnosed. And it was on my wall and I just saw it and I was like, let's go. And so I brought it with the ICU and to the hospital and I would just think of it all the time. So do the thing you think you cannot do, because I coach a lot of people out there. Nobody knows what they're doing. Spoiler. So you can probably do it, whatever it is, challenging or not.
Life is good.
Life is good. Yeah, exactly. Go have a good life.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for this amazing conversation. Now, we would like for you to read a couple of pages for us.
Sure.
And afterwards, we're going to have like the opportunity, if you have any questions for Jen, we have the microphone
Awesome.
at your service.
Yeah, after the reading,
After the
we're going to do the question.
Okay, awesome. So, move me wherever you want. Okay, so every time I come to do a book tour event, I have to pick what I want to read. And the first question is, how long do I have? So it's 5 minutes today. So just so you know. And the second question is, who's going to be there? So because this room is full of parents and also St. Andrew's Lutheran Church, I decided to read something about both of those things. So this is the very beginning of chapter 4. And for those of you who haven't yet read it, at this point, we have found the brain tumor. We know I'm going to have brain surgery, but I'm like spinning. That's kind of where we're at. In quiet moments, I wonder if I somehow manifested this life-threatening diagnosis. Has my curiosity around death and ghosts and God somehow brought this on? Maybe I've watched too many episodes of Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. I was simply curious about the white light and the tunnel. I want to yell toward the ceiling. I never said I wanted to go there. For much of her career, my mom worked as a nurse on the oncology floor. And what I remember most about her job are the stories she brought home over dinner every night. Today, my patient said he saw Jesus in the corner. The same guy who was talking to his dead mother the other day? Mom, is he making that up? Listen, I didn't see anything in the corner, but I believe he did. She always said it like that. She didn't have an experience, but she never doubted the patient's story either. It killed me that my mom didn't ask these patients more questions. Did the corner feel colder than the rest of the room? How did Jesus look? Please include descriptions of hair, clothing. Were there lambs nearby? Could the patient ask his mother what the afterlife was like? Any cheat sheets for getting in? But while Mom was very regular in reporting these stories, she was oddly not interested in getting more details. She was a busy cancer nurse. There were more patients to see, doctors and their egos to navigate, families to support through bad news. Take a number, Jesus. The nurses have charting to do. Ever curious, I interviewed one of Mom's nurse colleagues for a research paper on near-death experiences in the 9th grade. Nurse Barbara told me a story about a man who was having a heart attack. Medical staff had a hard time restarting his heart using cardiac paddles, but eventually it worked. Afterward, he told Barbara that he had been hovering in the room the whole time. He knew details about the scrunchie I was wearing, she said. It was nuts. How could he have known that? We have all kinds of unexplainable things happening in the hospital. So if hovering souls and Jesus lurked around hospital corners, where did that leave church? My family attended a small Lutheran church near my childhood home an hour north of New York City. Church would have been an obvious venue to share mystical experiences, but personal stories were low on the priority list. First, we had to get through all the Bible stuff. St. Andrew's Sunday School students learned the books of the Bible by memorizing a song. We created baseball cards for the main characters with pictures on one side, stats on the other. Name, Sarah. Age, 127. Husband, Abraham. Fun fact, I had a baby when I was 90 years old. I left for college with some historical knowledge of the Bible, but nothing to help me through dating or how to negotiate a raise or choose a major, so I stopped going. Instead, I sought guidance from professors during my 4 years at Muhlenberg College, from formative experiences abroad, and from the kind of deep spiritual conversations only possible after midnight, often accompanied by a few rounds of drinks. Now, this life-threatening diagnosis is throwing me back into the God stuff. I consider looking for my old Bible in a box in the attic, unsure of what I'd do if I found it. Sing a psalm? To cover my bases, I shoot off an emergency email to a local Berkeley psychic that comes highly recommended on Yelp. She is booked with clients for months. No dice. With repetitive words, I pray to unresponsive air, "Dear God, help, help me, help, Amen." My worst fear is that this brain tumor is cancer. Please don't let it be cancer. Please, 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 please. I can take horrible. I can work through painful, but please let it not be a surprise cancer diagnosis. I don't know if my hope can hold up against that. I call on every dead person I know. Feisty relatives, a classmate whose cancer recurred when we were 31, a fellow Muhlenberg student who died in a car accident 1 week after graduation. Aunt Pearl, please use your sass. Convince someone big out there to let me stay. John, you know I wouldn't ask this unless I needed it. Please spend your cred for me. Find out who's in charge and make my pitch. Gabe, we pondered the afterlife in the study lounge late at night. Tell me there is one. Tell me I'm not allowed in yet. I will do good with the extra time I'm granted, I swear, to whatever God is. And I do. I swear it so often that I can see it. I will be a good mom. I will find a way to coach more people. I will bring my ideas for Plucky to life. I will, all future tense. Please, someone up and out there, please let me exist in future tense. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone has a question for Jen? No? If not, let's do the signing.
Yeah, we're gonna do the book signing.
All
Looks like we covered everything, and your prayers were answered. You're here.
All
You
right.
did it all.
Thank you
again.
everyone for
Thank you,
being
everyone.
here. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Jen.
can I say one?
Yeah, sure, yes.
Sorry, one other thing. There is a book, like a guest book kind of thing,
Yeah.
right over next to where my books are being sold. And it's called We Believe in Everything. And I've been carrying this thing around with me on book tour in every city. So there's the page that's open is for Yorktown Heights. Please feel free to write something that you believe in. You can write your name or you don't have to, but as you flip back, you can see in all the different cities what people have mentioned that they believe in, and it's just become a really
Are you
lovely
going to publish
souvenir.
that one?
Listen,
You don't know.
this took 10 years. I don't know what's going to happen.
All right. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Farhat.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.